Do you think this code will find odd even numbers? Let's check it out. Hi guys, in this video we are going to build this shortest odd even finder, so without further ado, let's get started. To do that, we need to understand slicing methods. To illustrate this, I have created an alphabetical list here. Let's say we have to print the letters from D to G. I hope you all know how to do that. So, here I say, print, letters. Here we have to put the index of D. It's 3, and we need letters up to G. So, index of G is 6. But we have to put 7 here. Because if we put 6 here, the value of index 6 will be excluded. So G will not be printed. So here we have to put 7. So H is excluded and G is included. Which is what we want. Well, now I'm going to introduce a new slicing method. To explain it, here I create a variable for these two numbers or indices. So here I create a variable called start, which is equal to this 3. So here I replace this 3 with our start variable. Also I create another variable called end before, which equals 7. Here I replace this 7 with this end before variable. Well, if I run this, the output is the same. Here I'm also going to add h to our output. So the index of h is 7. So we have to change end before variable to 8. So I is excluded and h is included. Now, if I run this, the output goes from D to H. Okay, now I'm gonna introduce a new variable. So don't skip this video anymore. This variable is very important to create our shortest odd even finder. Well, let's name that variable, step. It's equals to. It must be an integer. So let me put one here. Now here I put a colon and pass our step variable. What it will do is take each step until end. For example, here our slicing index starts at 3. It's D. Then it takes a step from index 3 to 4, and then outputs the value of index 4, which is E. And take another step from E to F, and return F. This process continues until it reach H. Because we finish this slicing before index 8. Let's run this cell and see what happens. Well, output is same as before. Let's change step equal to 2. Then it should take 2 steps. Because our step variable is 2. So we're going to take 2 steps away from D. If we take 1 step from D, then we will be in E, but in this case we have to take 2 steps. So E is the first step, and F is the second step. So it avoids E and return F. And again takes 2 feet away from F, so G is the first step from F. But we need second step value, which is H. This process is done till the H. Because we end slicing from index 8. Let's run this cell. Well, here you can see that the output is start from D, then take 2 more steps, then return, F, again take 2 steps from F. And H. Okay, now if we want to continue this process until last element of this list, we can simply remove this end before variable. So here I leave this place blank. If I run this, here we can see this process is done until the end. Well, I hope you understood this step variable. If you understood this step variable, we are ready to move on to the next part. Now, here I create a variable called string, which is equal to eovdedn. If you look at this string, if we start from the 0th element, which is E, and we take 2 steps, it will return V. And if we take 2 more steps, it will return E. Take 2 steps again, and it returns N, if we combine those letters. The end result is even. Similarly, if we start from first element, it's O. And take 2 steps and then it returns D, take 2 more steps, and it's again returns D. Finally, if we take 2 steps again, there is no value. It's empty. Combining these characters will return odd. So the endpoint, if we start from the 0th element and take 2 steps to the end, it comes out as even. If it takes 2 steps from the first element to the end, it returns odd. This is what we want. So let's do this by Python slicing method. So here I say, print, string. And then here we have to say where we want to start. Let's say from the 0th element. Here we need to pass where to end this slicing. In this case we don't want to finish this slicing. We want till end, so I leave this blank. Here we need to pass how many steps we want to take. We need to take 2 steps. That's why we can get a meaningful result. So here I'm going to put 2. If I run this, the output should be even. Because we are starting from 0. If I replace this 0 by 1, it should return odd. Because now it starts slicing from the first element O. Then take 2 steps, so V is omitted and the D remains. And again take 2 more steps, so the E is omitted and the D remains. So the output should be odd. So, if we put 0 here, it will return even. If we put 1, it will return odd. The idea is if the user input is an even number, the number should be converted to 0, if it is odd, it should be converted to 1. And the resulting 0 or 1 should be used as the starting index here. Let's see how to convert an even number to 0, an odd number to 1. Well, that's not a big deal. Dividing a number by 2 gives a remainder of 1, if it's odd, and 0 if it's even. Let's see how to get the remainder using Python. Python has a special syntax for that. That's %. For example, here I put 15 and put a %. Here we have to put the divisor digit. In this case we have to divide this number by 2. So here I'm going to put 2. If we run this, it will give us the remainder. That's 1. If I change this 15 to 16, it should return 0. Because when 16 is divided by 2, the remainder is 0. Well, let's consolidate what we've learned so far and perform our shortest odd even finder. To do that, here I create a variable called input number. Let's put it as an odd number, let's say 25. To take the remainder value, I create another variable called remainder, which is the input number, %. And here we need to put our dividing digit, which is 2. If I print this remainder, it returns 1. Because if you divide 25 by 2, the remainder is 1. Now here I'm going to create a variable called odd, even, finder. That's going to be equal. Copy and paste our string variable here. And I'm going to put the index here that I want to start slicing. Put this remainder variable as the start point. You all know that the remainder variable must be either 0 or 1. And we don't need an endpoint, so leave this blank. Here we need to specify how many steps we want to take. From the starting point to the end we have to take 2 steps. So, here I'm going to put 2. Okay. Here simply type print odd even finder. Run this cell and see what happens. Well, 25 is an odd number. Let's replace this 25 by 30 and see what the output will be. Well, the output is even. So this is working properly. Let's get the input from the user. So here I am using input method to get input from the user. Okay, now I'm running this cell. I am sending 90 as an input. Now we run into an error. This is because the input function converted the number 90 to a string. That's why this error occurs. To solve this problem we need to convert our input to an integer. To do that, call the int method to our input function. Like this. If we run this cell again, it asks for a number, let's put 90. Well, the output is even. This code can be shortened to a single line by removing unnecessary variables. Let's do it. Here I'm changing this input number variable by this input method. Then I copy this whole line and paste it here. So it takes the input directly from the user and returns the remaining value. Now these 2 variables are not needed. So I just remove these 2 variables. And here I remove this one, and put this whole code block into print method. Let's run this cell. It asks for an input value. Let's put it as 65. Well, the output is odd. It can also be defined as a function using Lambda. If you are not familiar with the Lambda function, I have attached the card in this video. Check out that video and try to do it yourself. Leave a comment if you have any doubts. Okay guys, finally we are done. I hope you learned something new from this tutorial. And I will see you in another video. Guys, don't forget to subscribe for more videos just like this.